Hello and welcome back to the U Up podcast. I'm Jordana Abraham.
And I am Jared Freed. So good to be back here with you, Jordana. How are you? What's going on? What's the haps?
What's the haps? I'm good.
Yeah?
Just hanging out, getting through February. And I want to say, because, I mean, we're recording this on February 15th,
Right.
day after Valentine's Day. But if you're a subscriber, this comes out on... Dun, dun, dun.
Yes.
The worst day of the year.
The worst day of the year.
Your birthday.
My birthday, February 21st. If you're a subscriber, you're listening a day early, Tuesday,
Yes.
February 21st. We're in the run-up to it's my birthday week,
Yes.
as I call it.
And,
yes.
And for anyone who doesn't get the joke, we're going to quickly play you the where the origins of this joke come
Right.
from. This is from a recording in 2021.
Yes.
That came out on February 21st. And we'll let it speak for itself.
Yeah, play it now. Let's go to it, because it puts a smile on my face every time I hear it.
I love these Sunday special episodes. We really break it down, right?
We do. I love them. And you know what? It is. I feel like it might be like the worst day
Right
of the
into
year.
it.
What is it? February 21st. Came in hot.
Why is
Like-
that?
Just because it's like middle of winter.
Yeah.
Nothing, not ton going on. No real like holidays that are soonish. So you need this
No hope.
podcast to get
Yeah,
you through
that's
the
right.
rest of this winter. It's February 21st.
That
Like-
no hope, no dreams, no nothing. February 21st is the worst day of the year. I agree, right?
If you could, if you could relive like one day every day for the year, like it wouldn't. No one's picking February 21st. Like if you could pick one day on the calendar, what day would
the
it be?
worst. If I could pick one day of the year,
Yeah, to do
every day of my life,
every day. Yeah,
it would be Thanksgiving. It would be Super Bowl Sunday.
not holiday, just like random
July
day.
4th. Oh, well, I love that you. This is so funny. That people might think this is a setup for a joke, but February 21st is my birthday, Jordana. And
Oh shit! Is it?
this is like we didn't plan this. It sounds
Oh my God!
so
Happy
planned.
birthday! We are scheduled. We are recording this on February 10th, so
Yeah.
we are way ahead of our time. That is really embarrassing for me. I was like, oh my! It's like literally.
The worst.
I've never even said
day.
anything like this before. It's
Yeah,
been
that's why
very
it's so
odd.
funny.
That's why I started laughing right away and kind of playing it up with you, just because I was like, that's so funny that she's like, there's no worse day of the year than February 21st. It's the worst. There's no good. There's no bad. It's the Wednesday of the year. And you're right. Listen, the only
Wow.
good thing is that
That's a big
it was
foot
the
in the
day
mouth moment.
Jared Freed was born.
Love it.
Yes.
Love it. I'm not a birthday guy, so it's not like I would ever be. You should never be embarrassed of. I thought that was the fun when it was happening. I was like, ooh, it's all going down. I can't wait to tell her it's my birthday. Like as it was happening,
Right.
And because I'm not like I don't know. I'm in the sad part of the birthday time now. I'm feeling it right now.
You don't like your birthday now.
I don't know, 38. I get reflective. What have I done? What am I
38 is
doing? It's young when you're 45.
Well, right. Everything is in
Right.
comparison.
Like
Right.
I don't know. I'm
It's young if you're 70.
right. I mean, when I was in Boca for my dad's birthday last week, and I went to the big birthday soiree. I'm the young kid, and you got plenty of time. But then you're like, you start thinking of like, what were these people doing at that age? Like
Right.
these 65-year-olds.
I mean, your dad is clearly a birthday guy. I have to say,
Now he is.
Again, I'm so impressed with your dad for having this party. Just totally, your brother just got engaged, doesn't care.
No.
Your birthday the next week, forget it. It's like, it's very Betchy.
It was very Betchy of him.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so my dad threw himself a 65 though. That's
big.
like
That is big.
that's a big year.
Yes.
That because I think it's the retirement thing works into that, and you're in the retire all that
Yeah.
you're
get
officially like crossing the threshold into old people
Totally.
land.
My dad just turned 70 last year.
Wow.
We had a.
What'd you guys do for him?
Well, I threw him a dinner. We had
Okay.
a big dinner with like all of his daughters.
Yes.
And they came in from all over wherever they were.
Where was the dinner?
It was just on Long Island. It was
Yeah.
a surprise.
So this was why my dad threw himself the party. He
didn't want a surprise.
He felt like my mom was going to throw him a surprise, and he claims to get ahead of the surprise, I will do the party myself. And because of that, it's funny, like even like menu items were just very male. Like the pass arounds were like
mini hot dogs,
pigs in a blanket, but like big ones. Like ones that you would get at Costco that were like the jumbos.
Yeah.
And then there was big lamb like on sticks, but like they looked like
Did he
a woman.
plan this?
He planned the whole menu.
I wish I had known this. I would have had him plan my wedding. He sounds like he was better potentially than my planner.
Right. Well, I said this. I've said this to friends and family. Like when he's planning there's no pass around hors d'oeuvre that like is for show.
Right.
Because I
something
think
like for aesthetics.
There's no aesthetics.
Right.
It's here's your pig in a blanket, throw it down your fucking throat.
High efficiency.
High efficiency. There's sushi out. There's crab claws out. Like, and it's just like a big boat of mustard sauce that like there's no thought of like, what will the ladies be saying about me tomorrow? Like there's no, and I think a lot of what women deal with, it seems, is like this, what will people say about how this makes me come off, about my choices.
Yes.
I think when like 65-year-old man plans a menu and someone's like, where's the veggie option? He's like, go fuck yourself.
Right. I mean, that's half the battle with planning a wedding.
Right.
Is kind of like, especially because we know all the shit that we've talked about everyone else's weddings.
Right.
So now it's not even like you could be like, no one would ever think that. It's like, no, I thought that last week when I attended someone else's. So.
Right. When you point the finger, there's three pointing back at you.
Exactly.
So we're 100% on the same wavelength. So when you did your dad's, like, was he like surprised and happy with the surprise, or was he like?
Yeah, he loved it. My dad's very easy to please. He's just like very happy. He's a big crier. He loved it,
It's great.
Yeah.
How
your dad was happy?
Happy. There were sparklers. It could have been 11 in Miami or, their club in Boca. Like,
Amazing.
It was very funny.
It looked very fun.
It was a very fun party. Here's what I'll say.
Were there any other young people there?
My brother, his fiance. Yeah. Actually, they've made, it's funny, like my dad golfs. So like the age range was wide. Mm-hmm. And I'm starting to try and learn golf. Like I've really tried to like get involved.
Okay.
And you can see that like you could be 90 and play golf and you could be 20.
It's a great sport for that.
Right. So there was like even a couple couples that were like, yeah, we live nearby. We know your dad. Like they were like our age,
Wow.
like they were there. Like so he had this wide range.
Because it's at the club, does anyone not get invited? Is that
like that was a big. There's a lot of.
It feels a little like middle school, like the bar mitzvahs in middle school, where you're like, did you get the giveaway sweatpants? If you went to some sort of like annoying Jewish school, like I did, where like 80% of the people are Jews, and then you'd see like who was invited the next day by who's wearing the giveaway.
Well, they had 100 people there, so when you invite 100 people, it's like you're basically putting a line in the sand of like. And you see these people every day in the club bubble atmosphere where it's like, yeah, you're 101. We have made the numbers.
Wow.
And so
very popular people. I think my parents have like one friend each.
I thought my parents had one friend. I was shocked by what went on. Like just the amount, but I also knew a lot of these people. Like I've visited enough now. Right. And then people are like, you got to meet this person. There's a lot of fix-up things going on, which is a little exhausting and a little like you have to be nice to everybody. And then look at this person, and we're gonna go ugh. You got to go. All right, yeah, no, and then I'm drinking. And you're like, I woke up. I never thought I'd be as like. Sore, like
you're dancing up a storm,
wow. And aunts, uncles there. It was really nice, and it's nice to have fun with your family. Like I like those types of events.
Seems like your family knows how to party.
I mean, that night everyone did dancing. At one point, my brother's fiance sang to my mom randomly.
Does she have a good voice?
She killed Valerie.
Wow, great song.
Right, great song. So
Winehouse,
lots of fun. R.I.P. with Amy Winehouse.
What are you doing for your birthday? Because today, it's your birthday.
Right.
Where are you?
I'm feeling a little down. If I'm going to be honest, I mean, even look at. I went and got coffee. It says Jeremy. on my
I thought
coffee if
maybe
you're
that was
watching
like
on
the,
YouTube.
I thought maybe that was the server or something, the barista.
I was served by Jeremy.
Yeah.
No, he goes, Jeremy. And I go, yeah, I'm Jeremy today. I don't know. I get reflective. The birthday, I have no plan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm flying to Vancouver. Maybe as people are listening, but I'm doing like a nighttime flight. I'm flying in the day before to kind of like chill out instead of like
Right.
the morning rush
That's good.
to the show. So I'm chilling out. I don't know. I don't need much on a birthday.
What was your peak and pit of your 37th year? I guess it was your 38th year because technically you're starting
Right.
your 39th year.
Thanks a lot.
Sorry.
I
hate to be that person.
Right. The peak, I think taping the special was really a peak. That
was great. You were on Jimmy Fallon.
Was that this year? No.
Was it?
November 22. No, that was a November ago.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Then the special.
Tape the special.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like a cool thing, but now that stresses me out more because
you haven't seen the final.
I'm sending you the final. We have the
amazing.
final, but then we have to like take it out. We got to try and sell this puppy. So
I mean,
if
it's gonna
anyone's
be great.
related to Mr. or Mrs. Netflix, put in a good word.
I'm the granddaughter of Hulu, of John Hulu.
Johnny Hulu.
Yes.
So, yeah, I don't know. I hate to be I'm not an anti-birthday guy. Like, I don't like hate birthdays, but I'm also like, I don't know what I'm even celebrating. I guess it's like, I think when you're like, single works into this.
Right.
This thought process. Like,
I think everything works into it. You think about your love life, your career.
Right.
It's kind of, every birthday is kind of like, and this is for, I think, everyone, not just you, of like, where did I think I would be by now? Am I here? And sometimes, and for some things, you're probably kind of like, yeah, like this feels good. I feel like good. And then other parts of your life, you're like, well, maybe I thought I would be,
right.
There.
I guess like, yeah, I get into like, and then I get into like, what do I want to improve? What are the things? Like, this is more New Year's Day to me than New Year's Day.
Yeah.
And how could I be better? What are the things I'd like to change about myself? And I don't know. It's I guess when you're in a relationship, someone else makes a big deal out of it for you. Sometimes, and they go there, right. And when you're not, you're like, what the fuck am I gonna do? Like, do one of those like personal streamers, like I'm not gonna like pop a confetti thing.
I think the fans of this show will make a big deal out of it for you. I got Venmo'd like $15 to buy myself a drink from I don't even know how they found me. It was a little scary, but I was also I was also thought it was so great.
I don't want that. I don't want that. Please let me just.
No.
I'm not gonna put like
obviously
my Venmo on my back of my windshield. I graduated. No,
it's just more like
a drink.
That people who listen to this show feel so connected that they're trying to celebrate in that way for you.
That I love. The connection that we have with the audience is special. But it's no, those are I'm sure I'll get nice DMs about the worst day of the year. And how was and I'm excited for that. So don't get me wrong. How was your Valentine's Day?
It was good. It was great.
Are we giving a full plug to Cheval?
It was good. They were running a little behind. But
okay.
So it was okay.
Do you know who she is? She will have this place shut down. Did you see what she did to JetBlue's fucking stock prices?
Last on the Wall Street Journal's list of top airlines, not to brag.
Called the Jordana Special.
Yes.
Take you down.
We'll take you down. No, they were great.
Okay.
I like the ambiance in there. Great burger.
I haven't been. I've only been in the one in Chicago.
Great lighting. Great burger. So they were running a little behind. We had a 7:45 reservation. We didn't really wind up like eating until close to 9. And then do you know when you're like
7:45 didn't eat close to 9.
Yeah. So we didn't.
Okay, Cheval, you've been, but it's also
it's Valentine's Day. I get it.
They're
backed up. It's they were very nice. And then because where you're like in that state where you're really hungry, so you wind up ordering food that's like you're gonna regret.
Right. Well, yeah, you go into binge mode.
Yeah.
Story of my life. Yeah.
So we both got the double cheeseburger each, and then
we
got. I was my decision to get the mac and cheese as well on the side, and then like I ate it so fast because I was so hungry by the time it came. The kitchen was also running behind, so then I'm so hungry. So then I like binge ate all this stuff, and then I feel like absolutely disgusting.
Right. Not exactly the sexy meal you're having for sexy time.
Yeah, it was probably not like the most romantic order, but it did taste very good. But you know when
know
you do those things
exactly.
and you're like, why did I? You're like, I
Why
knew
did I do
this was
that?
going to happen. I don't know why I did this.
It was
I feel absolutely disgusting, but I'm full.
Right. Right.
Why didn't we just get a side salad instead of the macaroni and cheese? Like, who do I
Right.
think I am?
And then it's like you're just two beach balls
Yes.
laying next to one another, like, don't touch me.
That's kind of
Yeah.
what I was like, I can't do this.
Right. This ain't the night.
And it's also like, it was also, again, we live in the building with the heat is not controlled by you. And
Hey.
even though it's like 60 degrees today, the heat is on full. I'm like, it is very hot. Please don't touch me.
Right.
Please.
What a happy Valentine's Day it was. That's great.
we had
They
fun.
should give warnings.
Yeah.
Cheval, a place like that where
Yeah.
it's burgers and mac and cheese. Hey, we're doing half orders tonight. And
For
we're
you-
doing
for
you
you
a
guys,
favor.
yes.
Like, I'd pay full price for a half order on a night like in Valentine's Day. Just
Because I have no self-control.
Right.
So do it for me. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a great idea for a restaurant. Half orders. You'll thank us later.
Thank us later.
Right.
Same price, half order.
Yeah, just you're paying us for the ability to like walk
Exactly.
afterwards.
How was your Valentine's Day?
I did shows last night, and I did so many that I went. I have to. So I did a bunch of shows last night. It actually works into our podcast today, or our topic.
Yeah.
We're doing a lightning round.
We are.
So
Love a
these are
lightning round.
user-generated questions from you over Instagram. If you don't follow the Instagram account, u.up.podcast.
Podcast.
Is that
It's the smoothest way to say it.
right?
Yeah.
I want to give a shout out. I did a bunch of shows last night, and it was very Valentine's Day. Like
A lot
you
of
could
couples?
all
Or a lot of
couples. Even like I got on stage every show, and I was like, "Happy Valentine's Day," and you could just people see go like just get like a little weird.
I mean,
Like
if you're
because
on
it's
a
such a
date
heightened night.
on Valentine's Day, you've got to know that there's something serious.
Oh, it's not even about
brewing.
something
Yeah.
serious. I think
They're
it's
worried about being made fun of.
being made fun. It's New Year's Eve Junior. So
Mm-hmm.
Valentine's Day is like, I got to make sure I nailed this night. You did good, kid.
Yeah,
Especially
first
if you're
one.
the guy or if it's the first one or like, you just don't want your girlfriend, your significant other to go, like, especially, I'll say girlfriend, because if I was in a relationship 2 years and you're at that part where it's like, I got to make sure I nail this night. I got to get a good report.
Yeah.
So it is this little bit of like, okay, on with the show, make sure she laughs, like you do have, it just felt stiff.
Right.
And I'm talking about dating material. And I overextended myself. I fucked up. And one of the shows I had to miss just because the timing didn't work.
Okay, you couldn't make it there in time.
And couldn't make it there in time. So I want to give them a brief shout out. They put on great shows too, and I fucked up. Laugh.events, much like our...
U.up.podcast.
If you go follow them on Instagram, laugh.events, just like, they're in the dot group. The
B squad of, it's like the what is it, 646?
right.
Of, it's the 646 if you know anything about about New York City area codes.
As opposed to 212.
Yes.
They Laugh.events puts on great shows, and I had to miss it. So if you went to that show, I apologize. I did like 7 sets last night.
Wow.
And one of them,
The hardest working man in America.
I try my best. Well, I need new material because all this
Right.
stuff has been taped and it's stressing me out because I want to be able to, like, once it comes out, wherever it comes out,
Be ready to be
ready
ready
to
the demand,
tour.
be ready to go. Yeah.
right. So I'm like, and I'm stuck. I don't like anything I'm talking about. I even though I like what I'm
That's
talking
what
about.
this is for.
This is the process.
Yes.
So someone.
That's the point,
That is
right?
the point.
Yeah.
And the greatest comment, I'll get messages from people that like us that come to the shows and they go, "Oh, I love that thing about your mom." I'm like, okay, so the thing about my mom is like going well,
Right.
but it's like sometimes when you have a bit that's is half done, but you didn't really know what to do next,
Mm-hmm.
you're just like, it feels like half coming. You're like, I just.
Right. That was unsatisfactory.
It was, yeah, it tasted okay. It's like eating the food and then
Yeah.
taking it out of your mouth and you don't get to swallow it. Like, it just, I know there's more here and I can't it feels
You'll
like a
get there.
block. I'll get there, but
Yeah. But that's what,
that's what I work hard at it, so it gets frustrating.
Everyone would do it.
Right, everyone
right?
would get all the accolades and love and the groupies and the women that I'm always
exactly. You
that
worked
I
so
work
hard to get to.
Right. So, but I am on the road. If you want to hear me struggle, I'm not struggling. Some people take this. I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
But if you're out there and you want to see some shows, especially you Europeans, I need you to buy some tickets. I am taking a minute where I'm going to go to Aruba.
Ooh, not for a show, just for
I'm doing
fun?
shows there.
Okay.
But if you're in Aruba, you want to come see some shows, I'll be there.
Aruba's great.
Love Arubes. And if you're listening now, there's tickets available for the Wednesday show in Vancouver. Thursday sold out. Pretty
That's
cool.
amazing. Yeah.
Irvine, if you're Irvine, I'm not coming back to LA. That's as close as I'm getting. Irvine.
Fuck you, LA.
Fuck
Sorry.
off, LA. Indy, Spokane, Oklahoma City. Then I'm going to Dublin. I booked my ticket for Dublin. I'm fucking
Love that.
pumped.
That's gonna be great. Is your dad coming to that? A lot of golfing. in
Well,
Ireland, right?
they might come to London. My buddy's going to come to London with his wife.
Nice.
We're going to make something of that. I'm kind of London, Copenhagen, Amsterdam, Berlin, Oslo, and then Nashville. The date got changed, but I'm still coming in July. But yeah.
That's gonna be great.
So if anyone wants to come, jaredfree.com for tickies. Should we get to these lightning
more
round
hot,
questions? Anything? Oh, I listen to Oversharing.
Oh,
Great
yeah.
episode.
Sometimes you'll text me and you'll be like, that fucking maid of honor is the worst. And I'll be like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Because I'm like, it's like this show where we
Right.
film it and then it airs like a week or two later and someone texts you about that. I'm like, what are you? I'm like, I immediately
No,
forget everything.
I'm the annoying listener.
No, but I love it.
But
I
here's
love
the
that you feel so that means we're picking good emails.
Here's my thing with oversharing. If you listen to my episode, I got feedback. Some people liked it, some people didn't.
Which to me is a sign of a great episode.
I
because
agree.
if everyone loves it, it means it was bland.
Your triggered segment is such like the meat on the bone that I love to chew on. It is like these interactions, and I have an opinion on every single. So we did one about what was her name, Sari,
Sarah, who, by the way,
messaged
you and said that she thought it was so funny.
She loved it.
Yeah, she was not
loved
offended
it.
at all.
Not at all. Someone else messaged me that I was a fat piece of shit and not funny. And it is interesting that we put out so much vulnerable content. Like I've said this on the podcast before. I'm more honest here than I am pretty much anywhere in my life. Like you're put to honesty. You are put to task.
That's the job.
That's the job. So most places in life, you can kind of find the softest landing and the appropriate way to say something. Because we're honest and vulnerable, people know the things that bother me.
Right.
So it's like this person's like, "Hey, you chubby fuck, you're not funny," and it's like, I know
like the worst kind of person in the entire world.
Right,
Yeah.
you have to be a giant piece of fucking garbage loser, and I'm talking to you.
I mean, those are always the people also with like following zero followers. Like they've made this account to bully people.
Talk to me.
Yeah.
Me and others they hate.
To bully people.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but I got, listen, you get all, you hear it all. This is the problem. It's like Superman. You hear the screams of everyone. So I hear the good and the bad, but you have these interpersonal quandaries that people are in, and they're like, how upset should I be? And I'm like, I'm screaming. I was literally on the street, this bride fucking sister.
With an android.
Go fuck yourself. So calling the shots. She knows. I don't know. So there was the episode. What was the date of the episode?
I think it was the Valentine's Day episode too.
It's a great episode. That was
February 14th.
That episode was fantastic.
A lot of meat there.
Oh my God, there was another part that I was getting angry at too. I truly got into it.
We've got to get you a blood pressure machine as you watch. Just wait for the
right. Fired up. So everyone, that's my personal endorsement. I'm a fan.
I like it. Thank you. Check out Oversharing. We'll have to have you back for a repeat.
You guys should do a lightning round of triggers.
Oh, I like that.
For that show.
That's fun.
That would be fun.
I like that.
You ready?
Let's jump right in. What are we at? Half an hour in? Okay.
Well, we have this. So when we do the lightning round, we have 10 questions here from the listeners. Again, go follow you.up.podcast to get involved. with the next one.
Yes, there's some fun stuff on there. You can give a lot. Great place to voice your opinions. Great place to see all the funny content we have. But let's get into it.
Let's get right into it.
Okay. Number 1, how to approach dating when you know your current city isn't where you want to live forever / raise a family.
So for these, I write down like notes.
You come prepared.
I come prepared for this one, not any other podcast.
Just this one.
Just this one. What did you think of this question? I have to ask you first.
I thought it was a good question.
Really?
Yeah. You didn't like it.
It feels very female to me.
Okay.
The idea that you are just like, what city? Like, I would never date someone that's like, I don't know, maybe I'll move, maybe I'll not. I think work from home has kind of ruined some people for dating. Like, it has ruined it's distracted us. Because
How so?
There's so many, like, I'm speaking from personal experience where you talk to someone, they're like, well, I could move there. And you're like, I don't want to be the person responsible for that. And I'm speaking for myself, but I have to assume, when the premise of this podcast, that I'm speaking for an average guy.
Okay.
That if I'm feeling it, my dad always says to me, if you're not that smart, you're not that stupid, you're right in the middle, it's fine. And it's right. And if I'm feeling it, you're feeling it. And if you're feeling it, I'm feeling it.
Well, what are you feeling?
I'm not dating someone where I'm looking at a full renovation.
Like to move, you're saying?
I could move. Oh, now I'm the person that made you move,
would you move for someone? I think that the question is more like
I would, but here the percentages are the chances are low. Let's look at the numbers here. I'll give you an example. So to go back to last night, one of the shows I did is called Sweet. Seth Herzog puts it on. He's involved with The Tonight Show. He's fantastic, hilarious. He puts on these like fun shows that are both stand-up and kind of like gimmick hybrids. And the gimmick last night for Valentine's Day is that you would go on stage with someone and go on a date. It was a little awkward.
Okay.
So I go on stage, I do my act, and then he keeps me on stage. Him and Mike Brown, funny comic, great guy. And then they bring up, and he goes through these women that want to be brought on stage for a date. And he reads their profile. So I choose one of the profiles.
Okay.
We bring her up. It's this beautiful woman. And we sit across from each other, and we like have this awkward date while they interject as hosts.
You were on this date.
So I'm on this quote unquote date.
Okay.
And it was fun. I thought it was funny, but it was also awkward and weird for me.
Right.
Because I'm the pawn in this grand gimmick.
Yeah,
And-
it's like we have a segment like that at our live show.
Right.
Set you up.
I'm the idiot from the crowd.
Okay.
Yeah.
How's it feel?
And it's a little weird.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I'm looking at her and they're like, just be on a date. They go, ask her questions you would ask on a date. Now, in my mind, I'm on stage. I was like, I got to be funny. So
Right.
I'm like trying to bring up stuff from her bio that she brought up. And so we do this segment. And then I leave and I go to the Comedy Cellar to do another spot. And the manager at the Comedy Cellar is a good friend of mine, Alicia. She goes, where'd you just come from? And because I was running late. Mm-hmm. And I go, I just did this show and I had to go on a date on stage. And she goes, what was she like? And I go, she was really cool. She seemed fun. She was cute. And she goes, that would be your story. How great would that story be?
Yeah.
And I was like, you women are all the fucking same. It's always this like grand story of like, that is the first thing every single one of you think of. And
Of
it's
course.
like, it's back to this question of like how to approach dating when I know this city isn't the one, but maybe another city will. It's like, where's your plan?
I think you're reading this with like a bias in mind.
Yes.
If someone is to ask, because you're assuming this person is saying like, where are we gonna live? But it sounds like this person is saying, I live in a city. Let's say I'm from Boston.
Okay.
I work and I live in New York, but eventually I'd like to go live by my family and be back in Boston.
I would say
That's my ideal
move first.
situation.
I think get your house in order first.
You're saying move first.
I think this is you've 30 issues in one question. I need a guy. I got a city. I don't want to be in this city. I want to be in that city. Like, fix one thing on your own. Like, I think it's okay to make your hinge somewhere else. I don't get as mad about that as some people get.
Okay.
If you're open and honest with people right off the bat. If you write and also understand that you're going to have predators. And I mean predators, it's a dramatic word, but like you're going to have people that are going to go, if you write in your profile or say in your profile, hey, I'm moving here soon, you're going to have people there go, oh, this is a good situation. Guys, and this is a lot of the theme of today's questions. Guys like situations. Guys look at situations. Situations attract you.
Okay.
So practicality. Can I make this work? Will I be evil if I try to make this work and it doesn't work out? These are all like and I'm saying this hopefully in a safe space where this sounds kind of bad.
Are you saying like don't date in a city where you don't eventually want to end up?
I'm saying you are adding something into the mix that someone might not sign up for and go, what the fuck am I doing here?
Right.
I'm the button that presses go on you moving to the next city. Like, it's a lot of responsibility to put on someone else for a you problem.
I think you're changing the question.
Am
though.
I?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because to me, the question is more like, how do I just like, when's, to me, the question implicitly is saying like, when do I let someone know that I'm dating, that my plan is to eventually move back to my city?
See, I see. That's interesting because when I
That's
read
how I read it.
That's
Yeah.
totally interesting because how to approach dating when you know your current city isn't where you want to live forever, raise a family. I guess I'm not thinking of this as city suburb thing.
Okay.
You know, like I guess I'm thinking of this, and this is kind of a little bit when I go back to the work from home thing. This is like it feels a newish thing
Okay.
where there's a lot of people out there and I'm meeting them because I travel around a lot where it's like, well, I could be there. You know, I could do
could
New
see it,
York.
yeah.
I could do Texas. I could
Right.
do all. And I guess I'm that way a little bit where I go, you know, I'm like, I could go, you know, I think there's like, I think it's a very millennial thing too. Like as this idea of like, I don't want to, where I am is fine, but there's got to be a better place.
Right.
Right. There's got to be somewhere better for me to do the next phase of life. And then I'm sitting here 38
Well,
going, what the fuck?
I mean-
phase is now, bitch. You know,
you
like,
have to think like let's say even if you're the place you want to live forever and raise a family is like the suburbs of where you live.
see, to me,
right?
that's not different. That's a different thing to me
Then
than, hey, I live in Atlanta, but I'd like to be in New York.
right. I mean, yeah, I think that's what I'm saying. I think those are two different questions.
Totally.
Right.
Like if someone's like, I live in New York and I want to raise a family in Westchester, I would be like, you don't change your dating at all. That's
Right.
something that just comes up along the way with
right
a partner.
next to New York.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that is kind of the negotiation. You know, that negotiation isn't crazy to me. Like
So you think everyone should just move to the place that they want to live forever?
I think you need to be if I guess you're totally right. I think this question could be looked at in two different ways. If you're sitting there going, I know I'm in Atlanta because I want to be here for 2 years, but then I'm moving to New York. I'm using those cities as
Sure,
examples. I would say to you, get to New York, settle yourself down, and then start dating.
Okay.
And then, because if I'm on a dating app and
What if you're a grad student somewhere?
if I'm a grad student, be a grad student in your town, enjoy that town, go out with your friends, and then
You can't go on any dates?
you can go on dates and you'll deal with, and maybe you meet someone, you go, hey, I'm moving,
Yeah.
and maybe they move with you, maybe they don't.
Well, I think that's really the answer then.
Right. I
Go
get-
on dates.
I guess
Tell
I never.
someone what your ultimate plan is. If
Right.
that's not interesting to them, then leave it. I mean, we had someone on our U Up SOS
Right.
who sort of, I mean, had a similar situation. It's like all you can do is say what your plan is. If the other person isn't interested in that plan, then you cannot see them anymore.
Right. It's interesting. I keep saying the word interesting, but it is funny to me that we saw this question in two different ways. Because I guess I've been presented, not recently, but like I've been coming across a lot this idea of like, I could do that city. And
Right.
you go,
Well, you're seeing it as someone who's willing to go anywhere because wants you to lead the relationship. I think that's why this question almost triggers you a little bit.
Absolutely.
Because you're seeing it, I think, through your lens of your experience, where you're probably because you travel a lot and you probably meet people in various cities, and they're like, "Well, let's keep seeing each other. Like, I can move to New York,
Right.
And you're kind of like, whoa, I don't want you to like want my life. I want you to want your life in that way, probably.
Right. And it's not even them. It's not even a pressure of them, but it's like you get to this point where if you meet someone in like differing cities, you go, okay, I'm doing the right thing. we've interacted, we've had nice interactions, we're getting to know each other. Then you go, okay, the next thing is a trip.
Yeah.
When do I have to basically concentrate on this 100%? And it's like, okay, am I head over heels enough to enter into that where I am doing that with no moral ambiguity?
Yeah.
And I think right now what a lot of people are running into, and it's in this work from home, I can work from anywhere lifestyle. And again, this is going back to how I saw the question, which there's many ways to see this question. City, suburb, to me is a different type of answer. But it's like when it gets into this, like, okay, should I go to what, when it's, we could live anywhere. It's like.
Right. I think you're looking at it through your lens where it's like someone is visiting and the other person is like too much like I'm up for whatever, as opposed to I think it's more like I'm dating, I live in a different city, I'm dating people in the city that I live in, but I also want them to know that eventually I would like to settle down in somewhere else. Right.
And if that's the case, you gotta be okay to lose this person.
Or you could be more, or maybe like it depends how badly you want that situation. I agree. If you're like, I agree with you that if that's like your number one priority, if you're not open to any other options, if you have no desire to live in the city that you are dating in, then that's a little on you, and you should be very upfront about that. And you're gonna lose a lot of people which is fine. Because, but I also think a lot of the times when you're dating someone, you might change your mind.
It can happen. And if you're sitting single in one city being like, I got to move to that city so I can start dating. Yeah, you can change your Hinge profile. You can change your Bumble, whatever you want to do. But like, no, I know that like, hey, I'm moving in the city, 2 suitcases under my arms on the first date. I'm like, I don't know. That's
to your
a lot.
city, you're saying.
Yeah, if you're coming to my town.
Yeah. Well, I think, these are totally 2 different angles. But hopefully we help that person depending on which way they're looking at it.
It's a little vague. It's vague enough for us to go in many different directions.
For sure.
All right, let's do the second one.
Okay.
If a guy wants to take it slow with me physically, does it mean he wants to be in a relationship?
To me, if I looking at this, and you probably have a better answer,
right?
I would say it means he wants to be in a relationship, not necessarily with you. But he may be with you, but maybe not with you. And I think that anything I've learned from you, it's that he might be avoiding sex so that he doesn't have to owe you the next step of a relationship.
Yes, we're on the same page.
Right.
I wrote down the 3 reasons I haven't had sex.
You're on date 6. You're not making a move.
Okay.
Why is that?
Number one, I wasn't going to perform well.
That's number one.
Number
most
one.
Frequent.
Well, I ain't embarrassed myself.
Because of like alcohol.
I just know this is gonna be quick. I'm in tune with my body enough to know this won't go well. I'd rather be a stud than a dud.
You want to put your best foot forward.
Right.
Okay.
2, the sex would be more trouble than it's worth.
Okay,
so
that's
this is
the reason I gave.
The reason you gave, which is I don't know yet, and I have enough self-control to say, let me put this off to another. Let me go home, masturbate.
Right.
Decide if I'm still into it. Let cooler heads prevail. Then reassess the situation with a cumless brain.
Well, maybe it sounds like every guy should do the thing in something about Mary. That they suggest, which is to jerk off before every date, and then you go in with a clear head, right?
Right. It helps sometimes.
Not foolproof.
Yeah, that penis is a tricky one.
Okay.
And then the last reason is I'm tired.
Okay.
None of these reasons center on I like the person so much that I gotta hold out so that our first time together is special. I don't want to get too attached. No.
But I do think it might mean he's not just looking to hook up.
No, you're right.
So that's
right.
In some senses, I think that it's a positive thing in that he is assessing this for relationship viability.
He's thinking of you in terms of relationships. Right. And I think, so he is thinking that way. And also, it shows you, I think when a guy is like, let's wait on this, it shows you he's not emotionally unaware. Like he does have emotional maturity of some kind, which is good. So you can't let him off the hook later. Oh, he probably doesn't know to text back. He knew enough not to fuck because he knew fucking would make you more into him and make this harder to get out of.
Yeah.
So
But I think it's a good sign.
It's a good
He's
sign.
thinking about it more thoughtfully.
In global terms.
Yes. Unless it, again, is the first one where he's just doesn't think he's going to be able to perform.
And then you got other
But
issues.
if you're on 6 dates, I think at some point in those 6 dates, if you were just looking to have sex, you wouldn't be that worried about the ability to perform.
Well, no, that's not the...
No?
Yeah, well, I think you're always... The penis is...
It's complicated.
It's complicated. It's like a baseball pitcher. Some days you're throwing heaters. Some days you get rocked. And some people are better pitchers than others, you know, and you want to make sure, again, everyone gets one, you get one chance to make a first impression.
Right. It's so funny. I mean, we talk a lot about things that women think about that men don't think about. And I don't think a woman is ever thinking about like her performance level as a factor in deciding when to have sex.
Yeah, because you get to, you know, in most cases, especially like a first time, it's
hot.
No, I'm just saying, in most cases.
Had too much mac and cheese.
Right.
Just do it.
A little mac and cheese sex. If you're watching on YouTube, you got to witness mac and cheese sex.
Very hot.
Right.
Love it. Let's do another one.
Okay, let's do another.
What is a good way to bring up STI status before a hookup? I have none, but worry about others. Not about me.
Right. I got none. Worried about all these dirty people out there. Right. What would you say? I think this is simple.
I think
to me.
wear a condom until
Right.
Until you are ready to have that conversation.
Well, condom might not be enough for this person. You know,
2 condoms. Just kidding. That's not helpful.
That's not. I think it's the one thing you know, like I'm a condom guy.
That's great.
I love a condom.
Yeah.
Okay. I also like to know, like I am someone that if I'm in sexual situations, I like to say like, what's hard? This is I'm being very open, and I'm like sometimes you'll be like, are you on birth control?
Yeah.
And that's a tough question because when I say, are you on birth control? It always sounds like
You're trying to not use the
throwing away
condom.
that condom. Let me
That's
get rid
what
of that hat. You know,
That's
like,
what I would assume.
Right. I
Yeah.
don't, but that's not how I'm thinking. I'm like, good to know. Plus I'm going to wear this condom.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like I would rather know. I just want to.
You just want to know for your peace of mind.
This is for my stress level. And it has not, and I do understand how it can be taken that I'm passing a judgment.
It's more like a lot of the time that is what a lot of the time when someone asks that, I would say most of the time I've been asked that. It's as a prelude to, can I not wear a condom?
I don't know. This is one of those where I'm like, I don't understand. I know those guys exist. I'm not like.
I think there's more of them than there aren't.
Apparently this is one of those things where I'm not trying to sound any type of way. I don't think mine is.
I think you have the obviously the healthier, more health class approved method here.
Yeah, I guess I'm going down on everybody. You know, so I'm not wearing a dental dam. Yeah, no, so I'm not dental damming. So you know, I think it's more selfish than it maybe sounds. Like it maybe sounds like I'm like, all men should wear a condom. No, I'm like, I don't want to fucking have a baby. I'm wearing a condom, and I want to know.
Is it more for the baby than for the STI situation?
For me, yeah.
It's more about the baby. Okay.
Yeah. As far as stress levels are concerned for me, yeah.
Got it. Okay.
And I don't know how that comes off to people, but that's just, I'm being honest. So yeah. But then I do go, well, are you on any birth control? And it's always awkward because, again, I understand why this person's concerned about this question because it's like, what does this say about me, to them, about you? What's my judgment? You know, when you're asking someone, what's your STI? Have you tested recently? It's like, are they? And I will say this, I would never take it this way. If someone was like, hey, when's the last time you were tested? I wouldn't take it as like, oh, do you think I get around? Like, right. I can understand why maybe they would think that question would bring on that thought, but I don't think a lot of guys would think that way. I think they would be like, no, I haven't been tested in a long time. In most cases.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing about the STI status thing. There's no 100% way besides not having any sex at all to make sure that there's no chance that you're going to have an STI. You can ask someone, you can bring it. I don't think anyone's offended by asking.
Right.
But people can have stuff and not know. So there's no like, you have to, every time you have sex with them, you're taking a little bit of a risk.
Of
even
course.
with a condom.
And everyone's taking
Yeah.
that risk, and even with the yeah, right.
You're right.
So, but I do think peace of mind, I think they're asking for the same reason that I would ask what birth control to
Right.
use.
They're very, they really don't want to get anything.
Right. They're being selfish in
Yeah.
a certain way, but they're also doing the right thing societally.
Sure. Do you say just ask before
I think I wrote down, there's ways to ask.
When do you want to be asked?
I think when you're making out, I think when you're in like make out territory, I know that might be hard for some people to be like, well, I guess then we're just going to make out.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't handle that, then maybe it's earlier than that. For me, it would be in a, we're two consenting people in a sexual situation. It looks like it's going that way. Hey, let's have a talk. Let's have a little pit stop
Okay.
in STI town for a second. And I would let this person know how much it means to you. So
Right.
stay in me terms.
That's great. I like that.
So like, I think you say like, I was,
I get super
something that makes me
anxious
right.
about the idea of potentially getting an STI. Like, what are your
I would say, have you been tested lately?
recently? Yeah.
Recently. Yeah. Lately, recently, whatever
Yeah.
it is. And they're going to go, no, it's been a while. And most likely, because I just think a lot of guys are not, getting tested regularly. I mean,
Would you be nervous that would lead to a exclusivity talk?
Well, I guess
sometimes people do use that as a introduction to the exclusivity talk.
Well, here's what it does.
Do you want to wear a condom? I have a way for you to not wear one.
I'm holding it up. I know what you can do.
Right.
Here's what it does. It's the same thing as, hey, you're giving this guy or woman, whoever you're with, the same amount of time that you're giving the person that's like, hey, I'm going to not do sex right now. Like the cooler heads will prevail.
Yeah.
So when the guy's like, hey, I don't want to have sex yet because I'm not sure how I feel about this relationship. When you say, hey, I want to make sure everyone's tested, they're going to go back home. They're going to masturbate. And they're going to go, do I want to get tested?
Right. Enough.
And, enough. And do I want to live with being with someone where now you're kind of it's almost like you have to get tested. It's like going back to COVID.
Yeah.
Like you'd have to get tested before
is it
every
test
time. Now that's been said, when someone says like, I have an issue, like if someone said to me, I need to know that you've been tested before we've hooked up. If someone said that to me, and then I would go, okay, I have to go get tested if I want to hook up with this person.
Right. And now you're thinking, how badly do I want to hook up with this person?
Right.
Yeah.
And then you go let's say you get tested, but then you have this weird in-between relationship thing where you guys aren't together, but you got tested.
Right.
And then you go back home and you meet someone else. And let's say you hook up with them because you hook up and everything and you didn't get tested. And then the next time you go, you'd be lying to them by omission.
Yeah.
If the next time, so you've kind of presented a case where there is no way.
Well, I think what you're saying is you're raising the stakes for a hookup, which might make some people assess and say, oh, it's not worth the trouble of the testing and the telling them about the other hookups. And
right.
And again, I think some people would look at that as like, oh, did I drive him away by saying this thing about thing? But no, I think it's actually like a great thing. You probably eliminate guys who are like sleeping with a bunch of people and not taking you this thing necessarily that seriously, which I think is fine. Right.
You're putting someone at a moral decision.
Yeah, which is great.
Which is good.
If that's what
you're looking for. If
Yeah.
you're looking to be completely honest with people, and that is,
I mean, I think it's win-win because
Right.
if they're like, kind of like, I'm not looking to jump through this hoop for you, then they're not really that interested, maybe.
Well, it's funny. It's like when you eliminate the risk associated with sex as much as possible, you also eliminate the risk of being with someone who doesn't want to just be with you.
Yeah.
In
Well,
that
that's the
scenario,
beauty of that technique.
by way of, yeah. Let's do the next one.
Okay.
Both agreed to casual, but he's texting updates from vacation. Does he have secret feelings?
No.
I agree now.
Like, you already, to me, casual, the conversation where you agree to casual trumps any other conversation that's happening.
Yes.
Unless the other conversation is actually, I'd rather not be casual.
Right. You have to take back
Yes.
casual. Well, that's casual to him.
Mm-hmm.
Sending you pictures from vacation.
Yes.
He's going, yeah, we're casual. And I send her pictures. I like her. She's cool. That doesn't mean anything more to him.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Secret feelings.
I have these secret feelings. I wrote this down after this.
Yeah.
And I think this might help people.
Okay.
Agreement to casual isn't an agreement to an exact definition or casual. It's an agreement to be open about when something is too much for me.
Okay.
So when you say let's be casual, that's two people with two different definitions. It's just like we looked at the first question. We found two different things to look at in that first question.
Right.
So the agreement, hey, we're going to be casual, is now okay, cool, no problem. Now that is, the doors are open for conversations about casual and what that means to me.
Okay.
So like for this person, if you're like, stop trying to think what they're thinking.
Yeah.
Like,
and here's the thing, by nature of the fact that they're asking this question, I don't think they want to be casual.
right.
And that's the part that no one wants to admit because it seems disempowering, but it's
Right.
actually much more empowering to not do the small talk on vacation with someone who wants to be casual when you don't want to be casual.
This is right. The more awkward way to phrase this question, and probably the way they should have phrased it, is I'm casual with this guy and he keeps sending me pictures from vacation. It's making me like him more. What should I do?
Right.
And at that point, you have to text this guy, hey, these pictures are something I'd send with someone who is more than casual to me.
Reveal.
If you're going to keep doing this, I can't be a part of this, or we need to renegotiate what this is.
Yeah, I agree. I think that would have been like the more honest way to phrase the question.
But again, who's 100% honest?
No one. Yeah, but I agree. It doesn't mean anything.
All right, you want to read the next
Jared, how
Oh.
would you want a woman to approach you in the wild?
one? Ooh.
You're at
I'm
a
at
bar.
I'm at a bar.
You're at Dante paying
I'm at
with your gift card.
Gift card at Dante.
Yes.
Like a squirrel.
You want to be you want to be respectful of your phone, your date.
Yeah.
Right?
Don't
Don't do anything to upset.
don't upset my phone.
Yeah.
Don't get in the way of my phone and I when we're in a
Or
conversation.
making out. Yeah.
You got to come up like a squirrel. Like,
Okay.
like come approach me with like a little treat. No,
Okay.
but I do mean the squirrel thing.
How so?
I don't need someone. You wouldn't just run up to a squirrel. Hey, oh! You'd scare the squirrel away.
Okay.
So I think you go up to. I would want someone to come up to me, and I don't need the games of. Oh, you wouldn't go up to a squirrel and be like, "Oh, hey, Mr. Big Shot, must be real nice when people recognize you." It's like, no.
Right.
Or like,
You must think everyone wants to pet you.
right. Don't make it this. Just hey.
Okay.
I think a simple hello. What are you drinking? I think that's
Pretend they don't know who you are.
They can, or for me personally, if they knew who I was, hey, I love your stuff. What's going on tonight?
Okay.
Why not? Hey, but if I'm just random Joe Smith at the bar and they're asking for the general, population, hey, I love your shoes. What are you drinking? What are you doing tonight? What are you doing tonight? Like, it doesn't have to be.
I like that.
It doesn't have to be anything special. We are all. The dating apps are just a more honest version of what we do in real life.
Right. I think it's so much more about the question matters so much less than the ability to read the response.
Right.
And at this point, I'm talking about like any person who approaches someone else at a bar.
Right.
Like if someone's interested, it doesn't matter what question you're asking unless it's wildly offensive.
Right.
Like to me, it's more like about reading the response. Like if I tried to like make a move on a guy at a bar, if they continued asking me questions and continuing the conversation, I would take that as something that they were interested in to keep speaking. If they were like answering, not asking anything back, I would kind of like politely leave the conversation.
I can give you a number of examples. I've been drinking Citron vodka on the rocks with a lime.
Mm-hmm.
It's a flavored vodka.
Yes.
If a woman came out to
all
us,
the green rooms.
right, you're familiar.
Yes.
If a woman came out to me, I've had women come out to me. That's like so you like chick drinks? Like I've had women say that to me.
Okay, it's like
And
an egg.
Yeah, and to me, nah, get out of here.
Okay.
Shoo. When I remember when I was in France, I went up to those 3 women in the pool.
They don't speak English.
I go, hey, where are you guys from? They're like, we don't speak English. All right, gonna swim away.
Yeah, I
Let me
mean,
back
that's
out.
what I'm saying. It's
Right,
about
I'm
reading
out.
the room. Yeah.
Last night I was at a bar. There were 2 women next to me, and I said, what do you guys, what are you guys drinking? And they're like, we got dirty martinis. And I go, cool. And that was it.
That was it.
They went back to their conversation. I said, I'll mosey along.
Yeah.
So then I even said to the bartender, who I knew the bartender, I was like, I'll have what they're having. Said it loud enough. I gave a second shot.
Okay.
Soft shot. Grazed the shoulder.
Fair. And again, it's not always personal. Sometimes people are just like in the middle of a conversation that they're enjoying.
Nothing.
Right.
They gave me nothing.
Yeah.
So I go, okay, I'll drink this. I'll get out of here. I'll stop bothering these people.
Yeah.
As I'm getting out of there, the one woman goes, you're Jared Freed, right? And I go, yeah. She goes, and she was like, oh, cool. You know, I listened to the podcast. I was like, oh, okay. Like, and then I go, well, nice to meet you. I'm going to get going. Like,
right.
And I was like, well, why didn't you say anything? They're like, we didn't want to bother you. And I'm like, oh,
But you already bothered them.
Right.
Yeah.
So I took that as like a no.
Interesting.
So that was, it was kind of,
Yeah.
so I'm saying like, these are things where it's like, make yourself heard, go up to someone, hey, what's happening tonight? What are you up to?
Yeah. I like that.
I think that's an easy.
Go for it. Because also, like, again, reading the room is half the battle. So
That's a 90% of the battle.
yeah. Okay.
What's the difference between playing games and the chase Jared talks about?
To me, they're talking about the chase that I think you had mentioned at some point on oversharing a little bit. As not the traditional sense of the chase, but I think to me, I'm interpreting this question as when you were saying that you want someone with their own life who isn't looking for you to define what you are, or like
Right.
for you to take them to the next level.
Yeah, I think totally. And I think that's about standards. Getting chased is having standards. And you don't.
Well, that's the thing. You can't. I think a lot of people are like, how do I like pretend to have standards? How do I like how long do I wait to answer a text so the person thinks I have standards?
Right.
When like the correct answer is to just have the standards.
Just have it. And
Right.
some things just don't matter to you. The problem with like, you know, when we do like red flag deal breaker at a live show, people get very judgmental. Like, or when we ask for icks. Like when I'm on stage, I've asked for icks. Like, what are people's icks? And sometimes women will yell out like, no socks or something like that. No socks or shoes. And someone else will go, no, that's okay. And it's like, that person's allowed to have their
It's
ick.
for them.
Yeah. And you're allowed to have what turns you on won't turn another person on. And you have to keep that in mind.
Right.
That I have things that turn me on. I also, just because something matters to a friend of mine doesn't mean it matters to me. So it's like, because what happens is, and especially this, I think that's why this podcast kind of exists, is the brunch table gets taken over by the loudest person that sits there and tells you how angry they got from something. And you might be sitting there going, that doesn't really bother me that much.
Right.
So like the idea of like someone being like if I had a date tonight and it's 2:30 right now and I'm like, and the person I'm going out with was like texting me, be like, hey, what's the plan tonight? I would go, well, here's the plan, you know, and then they would have to assess. And if they wrote me back being like, hey, I didn't know if we were going out at all, so I kind of made some other plans. I'm around next week instead. It's got
You'd
too
love
late
that.
for me. I would go, okay, I totally get that. And I would say, let's make a plan for next week. If I think the minute you get into this, like if someone was like, well, I like to be told when the plan is before 12 p.m. I would go, all right, well, good luck. Like, I don't know.
Them playing the game playing games too much.
That's a
saying.
game.
Yeah, right.
Game versus standards. Hey,
Right. Games are rules, it sounds like.
right.
Yeah.
And letting me know that, like, you better get used to these rules around here. It's like, no, I think being unoffended, like just being like, no, listen, hey, I had stuff going on tonight. I can't do tonight. I wrote down a couple questions. Texting, hey, what's the plan tonight is a standard.
Okay.
Hey, I want a plan.
That's the chase.
That's the chase.
Okay.
Hey, what's the plan tonight? And then they're like, well, I don't know. What's the plan for, what do you think? And then you go, that's just not how it's going to go. Listen, I'm kind of turned off by this conversation. I'm going to get out of here.
Right.
I think a standard, and I'm coming off this top of my head, is going to a party going, ugh, it's too loud in here. I got to go. And I think a game.
Having an opinion.
Well, the game is trying to change the music at the party you don't like.
Okay.
So.
I see what you're saying.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, what's the plan tonight? Oh, hey, we're going here at this time. Perfect. See you then. The game is, hey, I don't go out with guys who don't make a plan by 3 p.m. And you should know that. And it's like, well, then you don't like this fucking party. You don't like the music here.
You don't like me.
You don't like me.
Because this is how I do things. Right?
Ta-ta.
Okay.
So I think that's, to me, those are two different things. Like I went out with someone, we're having a drink, and I had canceled I canceled not for any other reason than I canceled. Like, it wasn't personal to them. It just, my schedule didn't work out. And whatever it was, I had my excuses. But then they were there with me. We got drinks. And then I go, well, let's, figure something out for later this week. And the response to that was like, well, not if you're going to cancel again. And I'm like, I didn't even remember that I canceled.
So what would have been the chase response?
To me, the chase, and then I said, okay, cool. And they're like, well, 3 strikes and you're out of here. And it's like,
right.
Listen, if you were offended by the cancel before, you should have let me know. I didn't even remember canceling.
Okay.
You should have let me know, hey, you've canceled 2 times. It fucking annoyed me. I'll go, but I just want to know I'm annoyed. Mm-hmm. It's like offering a retribution. I don't know.
What would have been, I'm saying, what would have been the better, if that annoyed, like she should have said, like, it annoyed me when you canceled last time, I'll be honest.
Yeah, that's a standard.
You would have been fine with that.
That's totally different to me, and I know I'm getting into like.
It's almost like I'm waiting to see if you cancel again.
Right. And it's like, well, if you're gonna cancel, it's like, how about you let me, pissed you off.
Okay. I think those are good examples to show the chase. Right. Like it's kind of like, again, don't like, to me, games versus the chase is like pretending to be unavailable or have standards versus like actually having them.
Right.
Like, because that response is kind of like, well, I'll still go out with you if you don't cancel, as opposed to like, just like saying like, hey, when you canceled, it bothered me. So I prefer you not do that again last minute or whatever the thing was, or I had already gotten ready. And so I'll be honest, I was a little annoyed.
I believe.
Right. I mean, they're going to go out with you, right?
Right.
So, yeah.
And you're here again. You're here.
Yeah.
So it didn't bother you that much.
Right. No, that's a good point. Okay.
Let's do another.
How important is initial physical attraction? Should I go for date 2?
I can't speak for this person. I can only speak for myself.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're not going on date 2 if you're not physically attracted.
It's the first thing I ask myself when presented with someone. Am I attracted? Mm-hmm. Yes or no? It is not. There's no middle of the Venn diagram.
There's never in the middle for you?
I'm speaking for myself, but I'm probably speaking for a lot of guys out there. This idea of like, well, maybe I could get into it, because what the feedback I hear from women, because I'm in this position of being on this show where we have a very large female audience, is like, oh, then I convinced myself into him, then I liked him, and then he was like, I don't want a relationship, and now I'm pissed. And it's like, yeah, he was always
gonna be like that.
He was always into you.
Right.
Every date you're on, the guy is there because he's attracted
because
to you.
He's attracted. Yeah.
Yes.
And so I'm going to answer for her, I assume it's her, or maybe it's him. How important is initial attraction? I think less so for women than men. I've gone out with guys where, or maybe like if I'm not really sure if I can go on the date and then their personality to me can make me
Right.
more attracted to them. I don't know if I've already been on the one date and I'm not attracted by the end of the date, even if they're not. Again, I think it's less about objective physical attractiveness and more about how their like personality and vibe can make them more attractive.
Right.
But I think if you don't feel that on date one, it means that that personality didn't swing them one way or another.
I understand that. And I think this is like more like beware.
Okay.
You're convincing yourself. He is not convincing himself.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. Right?
That doesn't matter.
really.
Right,
Yeah.
but it-
but
but
that shouldn't have. It's not going to have anything to do with how he into you. He loses how much he's staying interested or keeping interested. But if the question is like, I'm not sure if he's my type,
Right.
I would say go on at least date one.
Yeah. Give it a shot.
If you go on date
can-
one and you're like, I'm not sure, I think, and you're kind of in the middle, I think someone can grow on you in a different way that it can for men.
That I think is, I believe you.
Right.
But I also would say if you're gonna
Don't hold that over their head.
Don't hold
Yeah.
that over their head.
Right.
Because what happens a lot is I wasn't even attracted to you. Then you fucking pulled me in and now you're dumping me? Like, that's what you hear a lot. It's
Right.
like,
Well, the bait and switch. of
Right.
that. Right. Or you pursued me and then you were no longer, once I was interested in you, you were no longer, because that's kind of that is how it can feel. That to me, that doesn't have to do with physical attractiveness. But I agree with that sentiment where it's that happens a lot of the time is the woman is not that interested in the man. He pursues her aggressively. She decides she's then into him, not having nothing to do with physical attractiveness.
Right.
Or she's like, all right, I can get into this. And then maybe they sleep together and she becomes more attracted and he becomes less attracted. And it can feel like, oh, you created the situation where you convinced me to be attracted to you. And then now you're no longer interested.
right. Well, it is funny that like a lot of times guys get blamed for this, like, you did this all just to have sex?
That's what it feels like.
Right. And then you go, who said anything else? I was here because you were hot. I came back because you're hot. Like, we're not as forward thinking as maybe we should be, or you'd like us to be.
Right. Well, we're kind of like, well, if he's putting in all this effort, he must really like me because I'm not that down.
Right. And I think a lot of guys are not as forward thinking as we should be, but also not as like deceitful as we're made out to be. So
It feels deceitful.
I can understand why it feels deceitful. It's like you wanted this one thing. And it's like, I was into you. I had fun on those dates. I'm the whole time attracted from minute one. And then part of my decision is over time, and within that decision circle, that pie chart, sex is
Right.
involved in that pie chart. And it wasn't all about sex, and it was nice that we got physical, but that was a part of my decision-making process. And as I got to know you, I felt, I don't think this is the match for me. And it's like, which is fair.
I see that, but it can also, I think it can feel like, you got what you wanted.
Right.
And then,
and
then you decided when it was kind of like, and the person who had to pay for that was me.
I guess I understand that. I guess and it all probably
It feels like you're being used a little bit.
I can understand why it feels that way, and I'm not denying those feelings. I guess it's interesting because I'm thinking about like when you're like, no, go on the second date. Maybe you'll find yourself more into them. And it's like because of that, it does feel that way, that we were deceitful. And it's like when the guy was just like, no, I'm here because you're hot.
Right.
And we had a nice conversation. When have I ever lied? And I'm figuring this out along the way, and
Well,
so,
that's the reason that I think that it's good to postpone sex for as long as you can.
Right.
If you're someone who's prone to feeling that way, like, oh, I wasn't even interested in this person. They pursued me a lot and then they weren't interested. Like sometimes not having sex with someone is a good way to like sort of force them to make that decision before you become more attached.
do you think it'd be a good idea to say to someone like, this has been fun. It's great getting to know you. How has on a first date or maybe a second, third, whatever date, Do you think this would be like? You think people would be better off for having this part of like a fun dinner conversation?
About saying what?
Just like, I guess something along. I'm trying to figure out the answer to our problem, and the problem that we're talking about is ages long and centuries long. Like, it's
Right.
not like we're gonna fix it. But if like, I'm trying to think if like someone was on a first date and they were like, "Hey, how important would having sex be to you tonight?" What would that mean? Like, do you think like that could be a fun conversation? One, it doesn't have to be like accusatory or mean or whatever. Like if someone said to me,
it doesn't have to be judgmental. Or
no,
anything.
if someone said to me on like a third date, how much does sex mean to you as far as us together? And I would go, and I'm trying to think of how I would answer that.
How would you answer?
I'm thinking through that now because I'm like, I guess I would say sex wouldn't be the reason I would stay with someone. It wouldn't make me more into you.
Would it make you less into someone potentially? Because it would decloud your mind.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of like how I would answer. I think it would be a fun conversation with someone that you're like, I don't know where this stands, but I know, like, because if someone's out there that go, man, I don't want to get burned, so to speak.
Well, let's say on a third date, someone was like to you, I don't really like having sex with someone before I'm exclusive with them because sex makes me a lot more attached to someone somehow artificially, maybe like chemically or through whatever. And so I don't really have sex with people until we're exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to that?
I would say, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
That wouldn't be how I get to exclusivity.
Okay. But then would you not go out again?
Probably not.
Okay.
If I'm being
honest,
completely honest, why would I be dishonest?
Yeah.
But I would say this isn't how I would come to the conclusion of exclusivity.
You would need to have sex with them to know if you wanted to be exclusive?
I don't know if I would need to. I don't want to put that on myself. Like, I don't think I would need to, but I think I would. It wouldn't be fair to everyone involved at that point. If I wasn't because if I'm having this conversation with someone, that means I'm like, okay.
I don't see why you wouldn't try it if you were interested in them.
Right, but it would work into our fourth date conversation.
Yeah, but I'm saying,
right.
Like, let's say you were like, yeah, I'm enjoying this person's company. I don't.
Yeah, I would keep going out with them if I was still interested, but I was also know that like the contract's been written.
Yeah, but that's maybe that's good.
It might be good. Yeah, I mean, like Matchmaker Maria has like the 12-date rule, and she's, dates don't mean, and I think that's a good way for people to go.
Yeah.
Because guys eventually just get tired.
But that's a good thing.
And it's a good thing.
I'm saying. A rejection is a good thing.
But that's self-preservation.
Yeah.
Like if someone said, because that's the thing. If I was on 12 dates with someone or 12 interactions, I think Matchmaker Maria, like that's her thing. Like you could get coffee and that counts.
Right.
Again, that kind of works into the first thing that we talked about is like that idea of like pushing off sex.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh shit, we've had 12 interactions. I am lying by omission if we have sex on that 12th date. And
yeah, you would have to think about it seriously.
Right.
Yeah.
By not saying anything.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of good. I mean, I've used to be like, that's a little crazy. But I actually, the more I think about it, it's kind of like, and not everyone approaches sex the same way, just like you were saying, not everyone thinks the same, is turned off by the same things, and everyone's turned on by the same things. If someone is saying, like, sex to me makes me more attached to someone, it makes things more serious for me, I don't want to have sex with someone who's having sex with other people. I think that's a totally fair.
Oh, it's totally fair. Yeah. What if I was like, not in my house.
Uncool.
Let's do.
But that could also be like, that's not something that I want to do.
Right. I'm not down.
Okay too. Maybe you're not a match. Okay.
We got a couple more. Let's get through these last few. But if people, we want to hear back. Do you like the lightning rounds? Let us know. How do I initiate a romantic connection with a coworker who has just been a friend for years already?
I mean, I don't know if I would suggest this.
No.
I think that's I think unless you're cool with leaving your job, that's something to think about before you get into anything with a coworker is like the worst thing that could there's the worst possible outcome. The worst possible outcome with going on a date with anyone is that you won't get married and have kids. But the worst possible outcome with going on a date with a coworker is that someone needs to leave.
Now you're thinking like a guy. This is every thought I have before. What's the horrible ending to this?
Yeah.
So,
and for work, it's a lot of horrible things.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to be around this person every day, or I have to leave my job, or
they have to leave.
Right. And they have to leave. So I actually wrote this down. They said, how do I initiate a romantic connection with my coworker who I've been friends with for years? First of all, I don't think you're really friends. I think if you're feeling something for them, they know there's a flirtiness. Yeah. They know something's going on. But here's how you should do it: by understanding that there are 700 reasons that aren't about you for why they won't be into it. Mm-hmm. And guys assess: are they hot? And will this get me in trouble?
Yes.
That's the two things. Are they hot? Yes. Will this get me in trouble? Probably.
Yes. Right. Yeah.
And how probable is that trouble?
Yes. How probable is it that I will marry this person?
Right. Compared to the trouble that, the marriage to probability or to trouble ratio.
But I also think, okay, in the chance that she's like, okay, it's worth it. I feel so strongly about this that to me, it is worth shooting my shot because the upside is so great. Which is fine. That's an assessment that anyone can make for themselves.
We're all doing the math here.
Right. I say, ask them for a plan and see how they respond to that. You don't have to explicitly state a romantic thing because I think that can make it weird if you're saying no, but I think the person kind of will know what it means if you ask them for
I don't know.
thing.
They've been friends for years. I think you got to don't shoot half shots.
What you think
I think you send a text. Hey, this is going to make things awkward.
Okay.
This is going to make things awkward. I'm having feelings for you. I know that we're in a work environment, but it just feels like we have this nice thing going on, and we're friends, but I could see more than friends. I want more. Let's get drinks at Applebee's next door to work if you're down for it. No, I think they need to get away from work. You need to leave Work Island and see if they'll join you on Drinks Island.
I see what you're saying.
You have to because this person needs a yes or a no. They're in
no,
maybe
then
land.
It's so weird, isn't it?
Yeah. Well,
that's why I'm kind of
prepare yourself for weird.
Well, that's why I'm kind of I feel like the half ask in this scenario, if they're no to hanging out with you for drinks on a Friday night, that they're not interested. Or they've waited and they're not interested in going there.
But what people in this scenario do, they don't hear that.
And then you can still go to work tomorrow.
Right. But I don't think this person's going to hear that. Okay. Friends for years. I don't think they're friends. I think they've acted in friend costumes while really being attracted to one another.
Right.
And I think this person is going to, I think you got to get off this drug.
Okay. And give me the two ways you would respond if you were one into it or two not into it.
So I guess the text I would want to receive from work person is, hey, I'm developing feelings for you. Okay. I know that's weird to say. It's as weird for me to say as it is for you to probably hear. If you're down for drinks, I'm free this weekend. Would love to get drinks.
Okay. This reminds me of the episode in Friends where Phoebe pretends to try to seduce Chandler. I'm not sure if you've seen it. And then it's just a face off to see who's going to pull out first.
I have seen that episode. Yes. So my no would be, I'm totally flattered, but I am not. I don't see more than friendship from this.
Okay.
And that would be my no.
And then how would you treat them at work the next day?
It would be more on them.
Okay. You would be normal.
I'd be normal.
Okay.
But
if
I'm totally flattered.
They can quit.
But I'll understand. And maybe I would write, and I understand if you need to take time away from this friendship.
Right. That'd be
the nicest thing I could write
to say. Yeah.
But I would. They should. If they don't say that, this person should say it. Hey, I got to take some time away from this friendship. I'm always going to be cool with you at work. I'm happy that I can get through this now. Like I would be more relieved that I don't have to like think, will we, won't we?
Mm-hmm.
Now the Jim and Pam thing is fucking done. You know, they can go back to work.
Would you tell them if you were interested but not willing to risk the job? You would just give it a straight no.
I would never say, hey, I'd fuck you, but it might ruin my job. Like I would, but that is probably the answer.
Right. So I mean that's funny because it's like that's more flattering to hear.
Right. And but it's also mean. It's like, hey, I would totally just us have this like rendezvous if I knew that it would never get me fired.
Well, here's the thing: saying that creates more sexual tension.
Right. And then it kind of gets us to our next question because there's the next question is, do men hate situationships as much as women?
I'd love to know the answer to that.
I don't even think this is a gendered thing. I think when you do a situationship, it is one person making compromises and one person getting exactly what they want. Mm-hmm. So in this work scenario, if someone wrote to me at work, hey, I've developed feelings for you, and I'm like, hey, I'd fuck you, but I don't want to like get serious because it might ruin my job and I know we won't be a relationship. And then they were like, well, I could do that. Now we're in a situationship.
I guess so.
I'm getting exactly what I want. I'm fucking someone I'm attracted to at work.
Right, without having to do any relationshipy things
or
owing them anything besides that.
I've already acknowledged I don't want to lose my job, so like they kind of know like.
So in that sense, men or the other person, the person who cares less, loves a situation.
Right, the person getting everything they want loves situationships, and for a lot of times it happens to be guys in that scenario. So. If you're making compromises, this is going back to standards.
Right.
If you've made a compromise of your standard, that is a contract you have signed up for where you're calling it a situationship and he's calling it the best day of his fucking life.
Having his cake and eating it too.
Right.
Yes.
And that doesn't have to be guy or girl or, male, female. That could be any, I'm just saying that's every situationship. Whenever I hear someone calling a situationship, I know there's someone else that is grinning ear to ear.
Someone out there is just having the best time.
The time of their life, drinking champagne, eating oysters.
I mean, I think that's why it's so much more often men than women. And just to speak for myself personally, like I would not enjoy continuously sleeping with someone that I wasn't emotionally attracted to, like emotionally tied to.
Right. And
so I wouldn't be in that.
Right.
I wouldn't be like sleeping with a guy who I was just not, who wanted to be serious with me. Like I wouldn't get anything out of that situation.
Right. And honestly, if the other person saw it as a situationship, like in what world are you both going, oh, this person that won't just be more.
Yeah.
One person's getting exactly what they want.
More. Yeah. That's otherwise it's either a relationship or you're just having sex.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, then they say, well, friends with benefits. That's all has it. Situationships have their expiration date. That's the thing. You would hope.
Some are like stick around for longer than others.
I'm in a 10-year situationship. That other person is saying, I'm in a 10-year island vacation.
I hate this.
I hate that I don't agree with it. I'm just saying that the question was asked.
That's true. All right. Well, good to know. Good warning for anyone who thinks that their situationship is also struggling.
No, they're doing okay.
They're doing okay.
They're having the time of their life. Right, let's do one more. We're going long here.
Okay. We've been on 2 dates. Now he's vacationing for 2 weeks, but made plans with me for when he's back. Will it happen? What
Maybe.
are you, fucking 8 magic 8 ball?
Right.
Try again later.
Chances are low. I wrote maybe. And I think everyone that's, if you're in the beginning of dating, let's live in the land of maybe. That's a more fun place. That's a less hurtful place.
Yeah.
Maybe. You went on a great date. He went on vacation.
2 weeks is a long time.
2 weeks is a long time. A lot can happen.
Yeah.
How about maybe you guys go on a second date and you don't like him?
They went on a third date.
But I'm just saying, third date.
Yeah.
Just live in the land of maybe. I think that's a helpful thing because I need to do this more.
Yeah.
These are notes to myself. Maybe it does, and maybe you don't like him. Maybe it doesn't, and it frees you up to meet someone new.
Maybe you're not as interested after 2 weeks.
Right. So let's live in maybe. We had one good date. Or two good dates. 2 good dates. Good. You did it. Fun.
And it said made plans for when he's back. If you're not sure, ask when he gets back.
Right.
Still going
we still
out?
down?
That's the
There
best
it
way.
is.
It's like that's to me the most obvious. The most obvious answer is never the one anyone wants to do.
Right.
It's like just like how do I know if we're gonna go out? Like ask him.
Also, maybe after, and you said the right thing, maybe after the vacation, you don't like him as much, you don't want to go on that third date. Like, maybe that whole time you're like, this person went on a fucking vacation. We had 2, like, it is okay to go, we want to get upset by someone's performance after 2 dates. It is okay to go, we went on 2 fucking dates. This guy goes on a 2-week vacation. He didn't text once.
Yeah.
He didn't answer my text when I said, how was the vacation? Fuck him. I don't
Yeah.
like him as much anymore.
You could not want to go when he gets back.
Right. We solved dating again.
We did it.
We did it.
Love a lightning round. Great episode to share with a friend.
This is the one.
If you know anyone dealing with any of these 10 questions,
Right.
send them this episode.
If they want to hear about birthdays and parties at golf courses too.
Exactly.
They got a good chunk of 30 minutes in the front. So
Before we dive right in.
dive right in.
Anyway, we'll be back on Sunday. Thanks, guys. Bye.
So, boom.
The U Up podcast is produced by Sean Kilby, Maddie Paul, and Jorge Morales Pico. Editing by Jorge Morales Pico. Social media by Maddie Paul. Be sure to follow at u.up.podcast on Instagram and send us your emails to uup@betches.com.